This is a story of my trip to Maui, Hawaii. So, just to make sure you know, we live right here. On the first day of our trip, we drove here, Seattle, where we spent a long day of shopping. We went back to our hotel only to wake up at 3:15 to go to the airport. We took a shuttle, and at this point I was getting increasingly nervous about the actual flying, and arrived at the SeaTac airport. There we waited in a long line for security. A while later, we were in the waiting room watching the planes fly by. When our plane arrived, we took our carry-ons onto the plane and sat down in our spot. The plane began to take off, and I was trying not to hyperventilate, but once we were in the air, it was fine. I was so fine that I decided to text my friends, and was confused when none of them answered. I then realized that it was 6:15 and they were all asleep. It had felt like so long ago that we got to the airport I thought that it was at least 7. So I spent the rest of the 1-hour flight to Sacramento watching a movie on the plane Wi-Fi. So far, we've gone from here to here. We landed in Sacramento and stayed in the plane, then took off again for a 5-hour flight from Sacramento to Maui, Hawaii. It was a very long, boring flight, and I think the most eventful thing that happened was the snack cart came around and we got food. Or when me and my mom tried to watch The Greatest Showman, I hadn't seen it yet, while Joshua was napping. The problem was, though, that he only napped for 5 minutes. Oh well. Because Hawaii is 3 hours earlier than Washington time, by the time we got to Maui, it was only 11. We got out of the plane and into the airport, which didn't have any doors, so there were birds flying around in the rafters. We went to the car rental place, which had wild chickens running around. I thought that it was funny to whack wild chickens. And after going to a market, we took a rental car to our condo, which was right by the beach. We went down to the pool and down to the water. While I was swimming, I looked out on the water and saw what I thought was a log, but it turned out to be a turtle. That was the first turtle that I'd ever seen in the wild. I also saw 2 tiny geckos who lived in a tree right outside our condo. At night, me and Joshua were standing on the wall by the waves, and this happened. Which resulted in this picture. Before we went to bed, we had a slight problem because there were 4 mattresses but only 3 blankets, but we made it work. The second day, we went boogie boarding. It was really fun, and I did it wrong on purpose, which was awesome, except I got some ocean water in my mouth, which was gross. For dinner, we had a dinner down by the pool, and I got to play my ukulele, which I insisted on bringing. I also saw 3 turtles and a mouse, which was running up a tree for some unknown reason. On the third day, we drove around looking for good beaches. We got shave ice and had food from a food truck, which was really good. Me and Joshua had calamari, and as Joshua put it, it was really chewy and squishy, and it was really good. For the 4th day, we went snorkeling. It was cool, and I saw lots of fish. On day 5, I swam with a turtle underwater. There were 2, and it was so cool. For the 5th day, we went to an aquarium close by our condo. We were there for 3 hours, and I only got 2 pictures, but it was fun anyway. On day 7, we went snorkeling again. There were way more fish, because it was a different beach, and it was fun, and I buried myself in the sand. For the 8th day, we went hiking to a waterfall. It was almost like a rainforest, and it started raining really hard after we got out. Like worse than Orcus rain, if you can believe it. Another eventful thing that happened that day was that I found a lizard in our bathroom. I was showering and I got out and I saw this thing run under my swimsuit, and I looked and it was a gecko. It was really small. I trapped it in a toilet paper roll and got dressed and then set it free. The next day we went to a luau. It was awesome. The whole thing was just basically a history of Hawaii. There was a pig that they buried to cook and little mini desserts. It was really fun. On our last day in Hawaii, we went to the awesome snorkeling beach, then went to a place where you can pick an oyster and get the pearl inside it, and then use the pearl in jewelry if you want. The next morning, we were at a very small and hot airport. I was tired because I hadn't gotten much sleep the last night because someone, who will remain nameless, but their name rhymes with Squashua, was pulling all the blankets onto his side. I woke up like 10 times. And then this morning when we were both awake, he took them all again. But I didn't really need them then because I was too hot. When we got to Seattle, everyone was tired. We got in a shuttle at 11:15 p.m. and drove for an hour to get back to our hotel. The next day we did a little more shopping, then went back home. It was a really fun and exciting trip, and I hope I get to go back someday, but that day is not today, unfortunately. So, for now, aloha Hawaii.